about various topics that is related to combustion. So here, what do you observe in this picture? Yes, here a man is rubbing the stone to produce fire, and here there is a gas stove that is burned due to LPG, or you can say the LPG gas stove is there that is burning. Now, what difference can you say from the picture? Yes, this is an older method for producing fire, and this is a newer technology that has been produced, that is used to produce fire. The fire is one of the major invention that is being done by the cavemen, and due to the fire it produces heat and light. It is used for cooking and various other purposes. So this is one of the major invention that was done by the cavemen, and it is still, maybe with various changes and various technology, it is still very helpful for us. So it's one of the major invention that was being done earlier. People used to rub stone to produce fire, but nowadays we use lighters or various other substances to produce fire. So from the introduction itself you might have understood, yes, this chapter is based on fire, its production and various methods of its production, and also about the flames and its various parts. So let's study about one of its terminology. The first term is combustible substances. What is combustible substances? In the earlier picture you can see the wood was burned to produce fire, and in this the LPG gas was burned to produce fire. So in both of this picture there are some substances that is being burned to produce fire. So what is that substance known as? Yes, the substances that are burned to produce fire is known as combustible substances. So the wood and the LPG are the combustible substances that are burned to produce fire. Always remember, burnt in air. If there is air, then only the substance will catch fire. So what is this process called where the substance burned to produce fire? Yes, this process in which the substance burned to produce fire is known as combustion. What is combustible substance? The substance which catch fire, or which in the presence of air gives out heat and light, that is known as combustible substance. And what is combustion? The process by which combustible substances react to produce heat is called as combustion. For always remember, air is required for combustion to occur. Air is required for combustible substance to produce heat and light. And in that air, oxygen is mainly required to produce heat. So let's conduct an experiment to prove this. So here there is an experiment that has been done to prove that air is necessary for combustion. In the first picture, what do you observe? Yes, there is a candle and there is nothing around it. Only air is there. So we can say that the candle is burning because the air is around it. So the candle flame reacts with the air and produce heat and light. So after a certain period of time, I put a glass over it. So when I put a glass over it, what happened? The air around the candle is lessened, or it is over. There is no air around the candle. As there is no air around the candle, what happens? Yes, the flame goes off. So from the experiment, what can we prove? Yes, air is required for combustion. If there is no air, especially oxygen is required for combustion. If there is no air around a substance, the substance will not burn. Now, the next term is ignition temperature. So if I tell you to do an experiment in which I tell you to take two wood pieces, one in which you have only simple wood and the other you dipped it in kerosene and put it over there, which one will catch fire faster? Yes, mostly the one with the kerosene. Why? Because there are certain temperature in which the substance catch fire. Every temperature the substance cannot catch fire. There are certain temperatures every substance for every substance in which they catch fire. So that minimum temperature on which the substance catches fire is known as the ignition temperature. For example, the wood's ignition temperature is really high. That's why it doesn't catch fire very fast. But that of kerosene is really low. It has very low ignition temperature. So because of that, what would happen? They would catch fire very fastly. That's why whenever you go to a petrol pump, you might see some sign like this: flammable liquid, do not smoke, do not call on phone. Why do they do such things? It's because in the petrol pump there are liquids whose ignition temperature is really less. So as its ignition temperature is really less, they can catch fire. They can come into flames in a very smaller period of time, right? So that's why you are advised not to smoke in the petrol pump, as it may cause fire. So what are these liquid known as which has a very low ignition temperature? Yes, they are known as inflammable liquids or inflammable substance. So what is an inflammable substance? The substance which has a very low ignition temperature or which can catch fire easily or produce flame easily are known as inflammable substance. So the example is petrol, alcohol, LPG, CNG, etc. And what is ignition temperature? The minimum temperature at which the substance catch fire is known as ignition temperature. So what are the conditions that are required for combustion? So there are three conditions that are required for the process of combustion. What is combustion? The process by which a substance catches fire or a substance produces heat and light. So what are they? They require fuel. Fuel is a substance that is used, the combustible substance that is being used. They require air, the supply of oxygen, and they require heat. The heat should be there, or the rise in temperature should be there. If there is no heat, if the the temperature is not rise to the ignition temperature, will the substance catch fire? Will the combustion occur? No. So heat is also necessary, air is also necessary, and the fuel, the substance to be burnt, is also necessary. If any one of this is absent, the combustion will not occur. Okay. Till now we learnt about combustion and various types of fuels or ignition temperature that has been used. Now we are going to study the three types of combustion. There are three types of combustion that are occurring around us. The three types of combustion are rapid combustion, spontaneous combustion, and explosion. So what is combustion? The process by which something catches fire or produces heat and light. So there are three types of combustion: rapid, spontaneous, and explosion. So from the term, the words itself, you can understand. Rapid means something that catches fire quickly or which produces heat and light quickly, right? When it reaches its ignition temperature, it will catch fire or it will produce heat and light. That is known as rapid combustion. But here it should reach the ignition temperature so that it catches fire, right? And then the next one, so the combustion, that in which a substance burns rapidly and produce heat and light, it's known as rapid combustion. So here the LPG example is burning of LPG. The LPG gas, as soon as you light it, it catches fire. So rapidly, it occurs very fastly. So that is known as rapid combustion. Now the next is spontaneous combustion. Spontaneous means on the moment, at the very moment, or so this substances doesn't require heat. In the other one, you need to produce some heat or spark, and as soon as they get that spark, they catch fire. So that is an example of rapid combustion. But in spontaneous combustion, they do not require any heat. This is one of the combustion that do not require any heat, but they produce heat and light. How? There are certain substances around us like sodium and phosphorus. They react as soon as uh, they come in contact with certain substances. They react to produce heat and light. So for example, the phosphorus, here it's a phosphorus. This is always stored in water. Why? Because if you put phosphorus like this open in the atmosphere, in air, it would react with oxygen and it would burn spontaneously. It doesn't require any external temperature or external heat. As soon as you put it in air, it will catch fire. Same for sodium metal. Sodium metal, as soon as you put it in fire, it will catch. As soon as you put it in water, it will catch fire. So such combustion in which heat is not required but it burns spontaneously, that is known as spontaneous combustion. The next one is explosion. So what is this explosion? In which the substance burns and produce heat, light and sound. In the other two, only heat and light was produced. But in explosion, you have heat, light and sound, and also there is pressure and various other things. So for example, the crackers, when you burn a cracker, you hear that sparkling sound, right? So that's a type of explosion. It's a type of combustion in which substance burn and it produce heat, light and sound. I hope you all understood. Thank you and have a nice day.